Hola, witches. Okay, so we're gonna have fun today. We're gonna have fun this evening, and we're gonna talk about something that is not necessarily expressed enough or ever really. We're talking about what happens when you cast, for anything, and the process afterwards. Because when you cast something, you ask for change. Change starts to happen, and so when that change starts to happen, things in your current experience start to uproot. And as they uproot, they stay there, which is it's up to you to sort of like clear out and take care of. And then the new change, the things that are supposed to come in, start to be thrown at you. So it's a very chaotic time, and a lot of people don't really discuss this. And so even like new practitioners, when they cast for something, they wonder why they're just overwhelmed, and they wonder why they feel so intensely horrible, because at times it can be very overwhelming again, and that overwhelming sensation, that overwhelming feeling can be interpreted in a very negative way, when in actuality that is just all the shit being uprooted and able to clear through. Or yeah.
Right, exactly. And I say it all the time, and as much as it does kind of suck, conflict is what we need to grow. And so when we ask for change, the fastest way to really change is to experience a lot of conflict. And it's not necessarily fun, and it can be really, especially when when you think you're prepared for that change, like, oh, I really want it, and then it's given to you, like just sort of thrust upon you, and you're like, oh shit, maybe I wasn't ready, because you get this emotional response of all this stuff bubbling up, and a lot of times it has to do with emotions, and the things that you've gone through all come rushing back, and experiences that you would rather have kept buried come up, because you need to let go of these things and process them and then move on. And the only way you can do that is if they're not buried, So it can be a very emotional experience, to say the least.
Yes. And again, y'all, if you have any questions about this topic or anything really related to the process of magic, the process of casting and all that, the Q&A is up for you. You can definitely ask us questions. We'll do our best to be of service and respond. But I agree, it's a very emotional, when we cast and we do anything like that, it's very rooted, and it's strongly rooted in our emotions. And so when we raise that energy, when we cast and let go, we are taking like these supercharged experiences, the supercharged spell with intense emotion, like surrounded and inside of it, and then we release it. So we have all of that emotion that's being released. We let that go from us, and a part of us needs to remember. We need to remember to replace that, because no matter what, when we cast something, we're releasing something from ourselves. And so we have to remember, it's very important to replace that. Otherwise, you still feel almost like something is missing, like a void. You feel you have the potential to feel that way, like you cast and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not really happy. Like I feel like there's this doom and gloom sort of thing. What's the Peanuts character that has like the what is the sandstorm sort of thing?
Pigpen.
Yeah, kind of like that, because it is very true. When you're casting a spell and you're asking for change, the minute that you start casting is the minute that you start creating that experience for yourself. And as you create that experience, it's starting to send out its essence. And as it's going out, your immediate, surroundings start to shift, alter, change. And as they are changing, so are you. And you have to prepare for that. You have to realize that you are being given the opportunity to clear a lot of shit out. And sometimes the change that you ask for, it stirs up a lot of dust. It stirs up a lot of beliefs and patterns and things that really no longer serve you. and they're no longer attached to what you're casting for. And so those things get, uprooted. Those things get, they're in the air now. Okay. And so now that they're in the air, they're not like tied down to anything. So they're there. And yes, you sent your spell out, but you're still left to deal with the remnants of the spell, the things that you need to work on now. And so there's energy that's just there, that like dusty, dirty, just the dust. Anyways, so you're living that experience until you actually clear that shit out. And that dust, kind of think of it as clutter. When you're in a very cluttered area, you don't feel right. You can feel the energy being like clouded. You feel things being piled up, and you don't feel correct. And that's the same thing when you're casting, and you cast for change. All that shit is kind of decluttering from the corners and all this other place that they were attached to, and now they're all piled up on you in your direct experience.
Yeah, exactly. And it can be overwhelming, especially if you're not used to or not prepared for that. It can be really like, oh my God, what just happened? Why do I feel so like almost claustrophobic sometimes?
Mm-hmm.
Why do I feel so blocked in a way? And it's because you need to clear out all that to make room for what's coming, and it's all about balance. You read a lot of things, and you see a lot of things about witchcraft, and witchcraft has a lot to do with balance. When you take away energy, it has to, replace itself. So when you're replacing that energy and you're bringing in that change, it's like, hey, I don't have room in here. We got to kick some of this shit out, Right. And so it just kind of all bubbles up, and you have to deal with it, in order to make things better. And it happens a lot, I've noticed, with people, especially when it concerns stuff like money. If someone who thinks that money is not necessarily a good thing, that it causes a lot of problems, but they need it, so they cast for money, and then it's like they have this emotional block, and they don't understand why they're so frustrated about everything. And it's because, cast a spell, it's working. The universe is trying to send you money, trying to prepare you to receive this money, but you're still holding on to this belief that money is bad. So you have this horrible emotional thing going on, that makes it almost feel like you just made the situation worse. I think that's why a lot of witches have such a negative attitude about casting for prosperity. You read about it all the time, and it's not because their spell's not working, it's because they haven't made room in their psyche to accept money.
That's absolutely, that's actually very interesting, and we already know, a lot of us, we know that in order to receive something, we sort of have to make space for it, and we do that. But the thing that I want to address here, because that's very important, is we wait too late to do that, because and like what we've been discussing, it's like when you automatically cast, when you do that, it uproots shit. And so usually people start making room like days and days later, a week later. They start seeing like some sort of how did I do that? I don't know. They start seeing some sort of result, and so that's when they start like, oh, I need to make room for this, or I need to do this. Okay, I'm going to do that. Or they do it before they even cast their spell. So you either do it before, or they do it like way after. But the important thing here is like when you're in the process of casting, like we said, it uproots. Therefore, that moment is when you really should start working on clearing and making the way, because when you cast and you ask for change, that it unearths different stuff that is necessary to be removed and cleared out, swept away, and you don't. And so you're lingering. You're allowing this energy to linger. These things that need to be processed, worked through, swept out. You're allowing it to kind of take a hold again, which is very interesting again, because once it takes a hold again, when it takes root again, did I freeze?
No, you're good.
Oh, scary. Okay, sorry. No. Once it takes root again, it's harder, it's more challenging to banish. So that's why we see a lot of people who have very strong beliefs against money magic or against prosperity stuff, because we're not clearing at the right time. We're not taking advantage of the moments after we cast, and all this shit is available to us to kind of work through, to process. And you don't have to do it all at that time, but it's very important that you address it at that time and you start to work through it in the following days.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That way you can be prepared for all of that. You know, I mean, you may not be prepared for everything, but if you're at least somewhat prepared, you're going to understand what's happening, and you're going to realize, like, okay, I need money now. I'm going to cast for fast cash, and whenever, after you cast, whenever you start feeling that kind of, no, you know, money causes a lot of problems. Sometimes, you know, too much money, it's greedy. You know, I don't want to be greedy, or it might change me, blah, blah, blah. You know, and you need to start processing all that then, instead of holding it back and waiting and be like, oh, I'm not going to deal with that. I'm just going to wait till the money comes. You know, instant gratification. And
Right.
that's where everything sort of gets confused, and you wind up suffering when you don't have to suffer, you know?
Right.
You know, where you could have just worked through all that, because we all have those moments. We all have you know, ideas about things like prosperity, relationships. You know, I can't tell. I mean, that's the big one. It's like money, relationships, and protection, which is are some paranoid folk. But
With reason.
and with, yes, exactly like Michael. So I mean, I'm a witch, so I'm putting myself in these categories. I'm not saying everyone. But those are the big things that everybody wants to cast for, everybody wants to talk about. And the reason why we keep recasting for the same things over and over and over, and we're just seeing little results instead of big results, is because we haven't worked through all the stuff we need to work through in order to just let it flow.
Yeah.
You know?
Or we wait too long to address it too.
Right, exactly. We wait till we're down to 5 pennies in our, you know, pocket, and our bank account is a big fat zero, and we're like, oh shit, I better cast for money. You know, well, do it all the time. Do it all, get to the point where you can cast, you know, to let things flow to you all the time.
Right,
You know?
right.
And you don't have to do it every month. Once you work through all that stuff, you know, to make it better. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yes, it does. It does. And to make to add a little different flavor to the whole experience, we can, like, let's say the new moon conjure event that we just had. We use that to cast for love. Let me put myself in that position. Let's say I cast to strengthen my love life, and to strengthen my connection with the person that I love. And at that time, raise a lot of energy, and boom, boom, pow. Yes, got that. Okay, that's fine. Got that shit done. Took care of that. And so, you know, as I was casting, as I released that energy, I'm like, okay, good to go. You know, and the next day, it was very interesting, because old energy started to come back into my life. Different people, different expressions, different personalities started to come back into my life, or I would see that person express themselves to another friend, and that would flag up and flare up different beliefs and things that I'm like, oh, no. And that clicked for me. I was like, oh, I just cast to strengthen my relationship. I just cast to bring someone closer to me. I just cast to honor the person that I love. And now look at all this shit. This is giving me the opportunity to clear this shit out, because that's just gross. And I don't even know why, it's like, I don't. So that is what we're talking about here, is when things get uprooted as we're casting for something positive, like that, see? So as we're casting for something positive and to create change, this other stuff is uprooted, and I'm like, oh, okay, so this person came back into my life. I'm like, or not my life, but in my view. And that flared some sore experiences and beliefs. And so I'm like, oh, clear that shit out. I can work through that. I can learn from that, and I can let that go. Okay, did that, okay. And then that actually released a lot, which brought a stronger psychic connection to the person that I love. And it was very intense. And for that whole week, I was like feeling their energy, and I could like almost read their thought process. And that's when I checked in, and I was like, hey, what's going on? And that just brought the connection even stronger and closer. But if I didn't work through all of the things that were being uprooted, that probably would have happened, And so the spell that was cast, I'm not going to say it wouldn't have worked, because it's still working, it's in process, but it wouldn't have been as intense and as like spot on. But I cleared all of that. I worked through that. I released it, and so that also makes your results in your spell casting stronger, a little more intense, more potent. So that's something that's very important, y'all. It's very important to consider what happens in the few days after. I know that they say to forget your casting, which I comprehend, and I think you shouldn't obsess about it. But in the following days of the casting, you really need to be aware of the different things that are coming to you, so you have the opportunity and that chance to release, to clear, to heal, and to honor whatever that process is, because that's part of your casting, it's part of your spell, it's part of what is going to get you results.
Right, exactly. And which, like Michael said, I understand why they say that, to forget after you cast or whatever. But trust your intuition, and when you see something in the next couple of days and you think, oh, is that related to what I just did? Yes, it is. It is related to what you just did. Don't doubt yourself. But I know that comes with it. Trust me, I've been there and done it so many times. And then look back, it was like, I really should have paid attention. I was right. That did have to do with this. So don't doubt yourself, and don't think that you're being like, I don't know, overly imaginative or connecting things that aren't necessarily there. I'm not saying that we don't do that at times, but right after a spell, if something catches your eye and you strongly feel that that is related to the spell you just cast, pay attention to that. That will help you. There's a reason why that came right then. It's important. Even stuff before, if you know you're going to cast something for something and you're waiting on you have enough time where you can plan it out to where it'll fall on a certain day, a certain moon phase, what have you, and you're seeing little things, they're coming into your line of sight beforehand, pay attention. There's a reason why these things are happening.
Right.
And that's important. It helps, and you can help resolve. It can help you resolve things before and after the spell that will keep that magic flowing without any obstacles. Because magic, like any kind of energy, is going to take the path of least resistance.
Right.
So you want to try to not have too much resistance.
Right.
So it doesn't have to work too hard.
Well, and you have to also, y'all, you asked for this. Remember that. That is very vital too. That's very important to remember, is you asked for this. You cast for this. You had that power. You know, it is about you. You did this. And so that's very empowering. It's very important because some people like to like, oh, this shit's all just being thrown at me. It's happening to me. I'm being overwhelmed. Why does the world hate me? Blah, blah, blah. No, no, no. You as the witch, you are as the person of power, you cast. You made that decision to have this happen. Yeah, you didn't necessarily think that this shit would, you know, happen. Ow. But you gave yourself the opportunity to create better for yourself. And so as challenging as it might be and as frustrating as it is to go through these things, you have to take into consideration and you honor that power, the beauty of what you are creating for yourself, because that is giving you the intensity and the chance to heal and to move on and to create that more uplifting experience. And all this, you know, all these things coming at you, it's very, again, overwhelming, but you created it. And having that knowledge, having the understanding that you were in charge and you created this, that's very liberating, because no one else threw this at you. You did this, you claim it. And as you claim it and as you work through it, you become better, you become stronger, your craft becomes more potent because you're able to honor that, hey, this was me.
Right. Exactly. And, you know, don't think that it's like, oh, well, maybe I'm casting for something and I'm not really ready. You're ready. I mean, you might not like what is brought up, what unearths itself, if I can talk, but that's okay. We don't like a lot of shit that happens. Ask Michael. I bitch all the time. Damn it. What the hell? But we deal with it and we move on, and you know, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but that doesn't mean you have to like it necessarily either. You don't have to be happy about it. You just have to do it. You just have to work through it. And once you work through it, you find that it's like this whole resistance that you've been feeling for however long is gone. It's all of a sudden like, oh wow, I can move freely now. You know, I'm more confident now. I've got this. I know how to do this. I'm figuring this shit out.
Right, right.
There's an awesome confidence boost for you after that. And even if you don't like it, even if it's at the time and it kind of sucks, that's okay. You can not like it. But, you know, you're going to get through it, and at the end, it's completely worth it. And then you're like, oh my gosh, why didn't I deal with that bullshit a long time ago? You know, but thing is, you dealt with it right when you needed to. You know?
Right.
And that's the big thing.
Yeah, I absolutely. And for all of you who are watching, if you have any questions, feel free to use the Q&A. We'll do our best to be of service and answer. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask, and we'll take it from there. We'll answer. We'll respond. And if you're watching a recording, you know, feel free to comment on the YouTube video, and we pay attention, and we will respond to you, and we'll do our best to have something of benefit in response. You know, so definitely do that. And it's important, again, it's important as we cast and as we do this, that we remember, even when we are aligning ourselves with spirit, even when we are aligning ourselves with divinity, we remember that we are also part of that process, that we have that power, we have that strength, we have that essence, that divine essence, that divine spark in us is co-creating the world around us, and spirits, and such, that we are also part of that equation. We are part of the result, and we are part of the process. So it's very, again, important for us to remember our place in the entire experience. We are not separate. We are nitty-gritty. We are involved. We are there. And so that is very powerful and very... For me, it's very refreshing to know that as I cast, I'm not, because some people do view that they're on the outside, they're casting so they can get something over here, and they're bringing it over here. But when I cast and how I view it, it's like I'm here, and I cast and I throw myself into it, and I'm a part of the process. You know, my energy travels with it, and I become the process. And as I become the process, I learn new things. I learn how to respond to things differently, and I become better for myself. And then I get my results. I'm not over here trying to stay here. I'm over here casting, trying to be over here. You know, and I process through all of that energy. I process through that, and then I'm over here now. And so now when I cast again, I cast from this point. So we become more. We become in a different energy. So the more we cast, the more we expand our mind, expand our spirit, expand our experience, and we just grow. And clearing through all that stuff, the initial stuff that, you know, the upheaval of magic, as we process that, we are able to process more.
Exactly. Well, you know, even with, you know, the definition of casting a spell, you know, of magic itself is changing your environment with your will. And the only way to thrive in an environment once you've changed it is by adapting to that environment.
Right.
You know?
Right.
I mean, and that's the thing I think gets lost in translation when people discuss magic is, yes, you are changing your environment with your will, but you can't thrive in an environment that has been changed by still doing the same things that you were doing before you changed your environment. You know, if that makes sense.
That totally makes sense. That was like, woo, tongue twister. But I told you, that does make sense. Absolutely it does.
So you just have to remember that, you know, once your environment changes, you need to change with it so you can keep in harmony with that environment.
Right. And, you know, that's kind of the basis of, you know, what we say, the upheaval of magic. And that goes for anything. As we cast, magic has a very intense energy. Magic, you know, and, you know, there's different energies, different forms and all that. But at the core, magic is very intense. And as it vibrates, as it creates more, it's, you know, almost like very rough, very chaotic. And so it's moving. Think of a twister. You know, I just saw that movie again. So think of a twister. And it's like, I love that movie too. There's the cow. But, you know, think of a twister and how that, you know, it creates this chaos and it's moving shit. That's magic. And as we cast, we're doing the same thing. So think of the after effects. Like after, you know, Twister's gone through, you need to clean up. You need to make sure you start immediately assessing the damages. You start immediately addressing anything that needs to be initially addressed. So that's something like casting. So let's say a tornado, boom, comes in and creates this havoc, creates this chaos, necessary havoc in which you asked for, you cast for, and now after you release it, pay attention. What happened? What's going on? My intuitive, my spidey senses are tingling, and I'm feeling pulled, and all these other things are coming at me, and I feel overwhelmed. But why do I feel overwhelmed? I need to process this. I need to handle this. And so all this shit that's coming at me, I just cast something. Is there a link? Yeah, there's a link. And so now I know that I need to address this. I need to talk to this person. I need to let go of this person. I need to cut cords. I need to do this, or this. So it promotes a lot more questions, and those questions will, they deserve a response and they deserve an action. And as you act upon it, you start to clean up. And so you're better able, you change yourself. As you clean and process through this, you know, you're over here, your spell's over here, and you're in a shitstorm. You're in like this crazy, all this shit's around you. So as you clean up over here, and your spell's over here, you know, trying to formulate and create and get your results, well, when it comes back, you need to have this cleaned up. You need to have this path clear. And so that's kind of what happens when we cast. That's what is necessary to do when people don't talk about it. So you clean this shit up, you work through it, so that's all clear. So when it comes back to you, you receive the result and it's not going to bring all the debris in the way back to you as well because you cleared it out. Does that make sense?
Yes, that does make total sense. It does. But yeah, just it's a process, and it's a process that is going to be beneficial to you in the long run, and that is something that you really need to hold on to and think of, because sometimes it feels like it's a really crappy process. Not all the times, but sometimes. And so, but in the end, it's beneficial for you. So whenever you experience all this emotional upheaval and this, big change that's causing all kinds of conflict, just remember, it's yours. You wanted it, and it's going to help you in the end. And honestly, after about the first day or so, it starts to feel good because you feel lighter, you feel better, you feel clean, you feel like you've cleaned out all this junk. And depending on what it's about, it can be like a huge weight being lifted, you know, and it feels amazing.
It does, absolutely.
Maybe not during the process, but once it's over, for sure.
Absolutely, once it's over. But when we start to, and y'all, we're gonna close up because y'all have no questions, and that's cool. But when we start to honor that, when we start to realize, okay, I cast, shit's gonna be uprooted, and I'm gonna have to deal with some stuff. Once we know that that's gonna happen, once we know that that's a part of the process, then it's not as daunting. It's not as overwhelming. It can be still, but there's also this sense of relief knowing that this is just normal. This is a part of the process. And hey, cool, I have the power to create some change, right? Like immediate change. And that's going to clear the way for my spell to come back to me and not kind of bring clutter with it. So just view it that way. Anytime that happens, it can be very overwhelming, but look at the situation and be like, hey, I did this. I'm having results. I'm going to clear this shit up. We're going to be good. It's my power. I co-created this, and I'm going to take care of it. And awesome. Look at my shit's working already.
Exactly.
Yeah, y'all. Hope you enjoyed this experience. I hope you enjoyed our little talk here, and it made sense. And I hope that that can help you, because kind of that's exactly what we're doing this for. Because we go back and we're like, okay, what did we need when we just started out, or what did we need that no one talks about? And we try to create content that engages you, that provides something for you, and that is beneficial. Because we love talking, and we love giving back and being of service and sharing. So it's very important to us. So we hope that you really enjoyed this and you can take something from it. If you have any questions at all, use the video, comment on it, and we will do our best to respond to you.
Yes, please do. We love comments. We love questions. So utilize the comment section in the YouTube video, and we will reply and have a nice, long, wonderful discussion if you want.
Hey. But until next time, y'all, we will see you later. Peace, y'all.
Bye.